Are you riding shotgun with a rhino, or has the rhinovirus sabotaged your blood sugar control in the past? Do you want to know why blood sugars are hard to control and how to keep them in range when sick with the common cold? Keep these 7 things in mind the next time you're sick with a common cold. Number 1, take your diabetes medication, or in my case, insulin. This one can seem counterintuitive because when I get sick, I often lose my appetite. Sometimes viruses can also cause nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, which may lead one to think less carb and food means less insulin or diabetes medication. But when I'm sick and fighting a virus or cold, my body still releases glucose from my liver into the bloodstream, and in some cases, extra sugar to fight the infection, especially when we have a fever. So over my 42 years as a type 1 diabetic and my experience raising 2 type 1 kids, I've learned that most common colds cause a spike in blood sugar levels. So insulin still needs to be given. For myself, if unable to keep my sugars down, in range, or fluids in, I check for ketones and reach out to my medical team for advice. The risk is very real for type 1 diabetics, any diabetics for that matter, who are dehydrated and have persistently high glucose levels. So don't mess around. Reach out to your medical team. And remember, this is my experience, not medical advice, and I'm definitely not a doctor. So reach out to your medical team. I'm going to say it again. Number 2, stay hydrated. Being sick and having a fever can lead to dehydration and can cause high blood sugars. So drinking as much fluid as possible is key for me when managing a common cold as a diabetic. My go-to is diet ginger ale. Typically I'll go through a couple of 2-liter bottles a day. I just like the taste of it when I'm sick, but do whatever you like. Lemon tea, water, whatever you prefer. 0-carb electrolyte drinks are also good, especially if you're a bit nauseous or vomiting. But getting extra fluids in is essential for fighting a cold, and staying hydrated for a type 1 diabetic or any diabetic helps keep those blood sugars in range. Number 3, test, and test some more. I always say this in my videos, test. But in this case, I really want to emphasize that this is a key tip. For me, this was key to staying on top of my blood sugar levels when sick. If I'm high, I correct. If my sugar's low, I eat a little bit of candy or sugary foods or sip on sugary carbohydrate drinks. CGMs or continuous glucose monitors are a game changer when it comes to being ill with diabetes. But before continuous glucose monitors, I used to use a glucometer, and I would test every 1 to 2 hours. So whatever your method to test blood sugars, test frequently. Number 4, be careful with over-the-counter medications. Some of the so-called cold and flu medicines that you can buy over the counter contain ingredients that can worsen blood sugar control, and in my opinion, prolong the length of time you're sick. Remember, your body reacts a certain way for a reason, and in this case, it's ramping up to kill that foreign virus. So eat and drink plenty of nutritious foods and fluids and rest up. That's what I do when I'm sick. Number 5, have a plan or work with your care team to develop sick day rules. This is very common when you're diagnosed with diabetes, especially type 1 diabetes. I've had diabetes for 42 years, and I instinctively know what to do when I'm sick. From frequency of testing, insulin adjustments, fluids, and meds to take. I also know when to bring it to the next level in terms of ketone testing and going to the hospital or seeking medical advice. When in doubt, reach out to your medical team for help. And finally, my last tip, be gentle with yourself and understand that sugars will be out of range when you're sick. Those with no diabetes experience elevations in blood sugars due to the body's natural response to fighting a cold or virus and the release of hormones like cortisol, which is a hormone the body releases naturally as an immune response, which causes insulin resistance. So don't sweat it. Let the blood sugars rise, but don't let them rise too high. Thanks for watching. Check out my last video here, which talks about stress and diabetes. And until next time, keep those blood sugars in range.